Hey, it's your boy Lionel, class of 2009, back with another episode of PV versus everybody. And listen, it's fall camp. All right, I got one thing on my mind, and it's coming off that hill. All right, I got coming off that hill on my mind. All right, that's what I got on my mind, man. And today, listen, today we getting into the first day of fall camp, right? July 30th, Wednesday, hump day. And listen, we got to answer. We got to answer questions that need answers. We got to find out what are the questions that need answers coming into this fall camp 2025. Listen. I hope you got coming off the hill on your mind, because that's all I got on my mind right now. All right. All I got on my mind is coming off that hill. That's it, right? And all I want to hear is cat. That's it. Cat. Like Coach T-Jack say, right? You know what I'm saying? What up, my guy Ty, Jared in the building. All right, it's almost time, man. It's almost time to see what the fuss is all about. All right. It's almost time for you to see and experience and understand why all these everybody's is always in our chat. Why we always on people's mind. You feel me? Like, we got coming off that hill on our mind. And again, it's time to get it, man. So again, appreciate all you guys for jumping in the building. If you're not following us over on PV_versus_everybody, then make sure you follow us on all platforms. See, look, we got everybody right there. Listen, we got coming off that hill on our mind. They got us on their mind. Okay, they got us on their mind. And so if we're on your mind, right, and you're everybody, you might as well show some love, man. Go and like and subscribe to the channel. It don't hurt. It don't cost you anything, right? The goal is 1,000 subscribers, right? We are moving forward. We are on the way right there. We're on the way there to 1,000 subs. Like, we have already crossed over that 900 mark. And so again, got to give you guys props, right? Give y'all that shout out, right? You know what I'm saying? For what you have, you know what I'm saying, help the channel to grow to. And look, we almost there though, and said, hey, listen, I think that's what it is, said, right? They know what's coming. I mean, that's really the truth. They know what's coming, and so they know where to come because they're interested, because they trying to find out, right, what's about to happen to them. You know, they be snooping around. Hey, listen. Exhibit A, right? Exhibit A, because they know we coming off that hill soon. So we got that on our mind. But again, if you're not following us on all platforms, listen, we just dropped on Instagram, also as a short, you know what I'm saying, over on those platforms, right? The newest signee, right? 6'4", 215-pound wide receiver coming from ACU, right? Talking about Tristan Go Lightly. I mean, listen, I think Go Lightly, right, you know what I'm saying, is almost, you know, flip on the name, right? Because listen, you know, he's put up some numbers coming out of ACU, and is going to be a great guy to add to that room. I really think, when I ask this question, can a team have DBU and wide receiver U on the same team? Because I think we have an opportunity to have that this year with what we have in both of those rooms, man. And so excited to talk about that a little bit. But before we get into it, man, of course, I gotta shout out, right? Gotta shout out the sponsors. And so first and foremost, man, gotta shout out my boy Jeff McKissick. He's a Texas licensed loan officer with Fairway Independent Mortgage Company, and he'll guide you seamlessly through the home buying process. See, many of us are unaware of our credit score or our true financial situation, but Jeff will help you develop a step-by-step plan to improve your financial standing, making your dream of owning a home achievable sooner than you think. I mean, he understands your situation may not be perfect, but that's okay. The sooner you start the conversation, the sooner you two can solve credit issues and student loan debt problems. So don't let the fear of achieving new heights hold you back. Perfect for your growing family and hosting those PV watch parties. So get started now, taking the first steps towards your new home and the next big step in your life. Don't delay. Talk with Jeff today so you can be in your home tomorrow. And listen, once you get with Jeff, he gets the loan in place. You get with your boy here, you know what I'm saying? Lionel, I take care of you. Man, we're going to find a home of your dreams. And then after we do that, before you go ahead and move forward, we got to make sure that thing is right for you, right? And so we're going to hit up none other than my guy, Neil Harris, because when you're thinking big about your home purchase and want a thorough assessment of your biggest investment, you owe it to yourself to contact Big. That's Blueprint Improvement Group. Big provides home inspections in the greater Houston area and is owned and operated by proud PV mechanical engineer alum Neil Harris. He has experienced inspectors who use advanced tools and techniques to assess every aspect of the property from the roof to the foundation. Visit thinkbig.com or text 713-259-0673 to book your home inspection. Support the team that supports the team. All right. Support the team that supports the team. So listen, we're talking about today, man, those questions that need answers. All right. Talking about questions that need answers. So I don't know if you guys were able to check it out, right? Of course, I am also affiliate with Sideline Sports Network. So I was able to write an article. I just dropped that link in the chat as well on Sideline Sports Network, talking about questions that need answers, right? Because when you're talking about coming together for fall camp, listen, Coach T-Jack talks about it, right? You got your spring team, you got your summer team, and you got the team, right? You got the team. Right now on campus, today is the team, right? And so now that the team is on campus, the team is on the hill right now, right? The team is on the hill, and soon they're going to be coming off that hill. But now, the reality is, if you got the team, right, the team on the hill, you now need to answer a couple questions to determine if the team, hey, man, can get the job done, right? If the team, right, can win the championship. Like, that's what the questions are for, to say, hey, man, if you can answer these questions succinctly, efficient, then that means you probably got the team to win the championship, right? And so that's what we want to talk about a little bit of today as we spend some time, right, together. Again, I dropped that link in the chat for all of you if you're interested in checking out that article, right, as well, because that's basically what we're going to be looking at and checking it out, right? And then, listen, I want to hear from you guys too as well, man. What are some questions that you have that you feel need to be answered, right? Because at the end of the day, hey, listen, these are things that this team, that Coach Jackson, that Coach Anderson, that Coach Buckner are going to have to figure out. And if they don't figure it out, then the year ain't going to go as we think it's going to go. But I have trust in not only the head, right, but I got trust, Lord, in every part of the body of this team that's being put together as well. And so, first and foremost, man, we talk about questions that need to be answered. I mean, this is one that everybody is asking, right? This is one that everybody is asking, right? You know what I'm saying? Because when you look at, like I said in the article, right, we got a bold vision, right? We looked at the transfer portal rules, you looked at the creative marketing, recruiting rankings, the interviews. All eyes are directed to the hill. And the primary question that people got is, who is QB1? Listen, they love the fact that, hey, man, well, I don't know if they love the fact, right? Some of them would definitely hate the fact that, listen, we got the number one HBCU recruiting class in the country, okay? That's 247 Sports says it, and Sports Illustrated, Zach McKinnell, that boy Sam Herder, Tim Rosario, they acknowledge that too as well, right? Not only the number one HBCU class, but they like, hey, listen, of all the FCS classes, listen, Prairie View is number 4. I mean, you're talking about Sacramento State. You're talking about South Dakota State. You're talking about out of all these programs that's doing great things, they say, hey, listen, but at the end of the day, Prairie View is ranked 4th when you talk about total FCS recruiting rankings, transfer rankings, Prairie View 4th, right? So the reality is people understand that the talent is in the building. The question is not, do they got talent? The talent in the building. I mean, even the haters, even the HBCU haters that we always see, their thing is, well, you got all these transfers, are they going to be able to jail, right? That's what they say, right? You know what I'm saying? Because they think this is a FAMU situation from a few years ago, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is not that situation where we brought in a lot of FBS guys, a lot of guys who aren't proven. That's not the reality. And we've talked about that multiple times before on this channel. You understand now what it is. These are guys who have plenty of quality time, plenty of quality experience in multiple position rooms. And so the reality is there are people in every room. I mean, listen, you can't go to a room and ain't no competition there this year. There is no such thing as no competition in a room. It just ain't the reality of the situation, right? But the primary thing, and like Imari says here, listen, the primary thing they're asking, who is QB1, right? Who is QB1? Because no matter what we brought in the backfield, no matter what we got in the wide receiver room, and listen, when I say we got a boatload in the wide receiver room, we got a boatload in the wide receiver room, right? It don't matter what even we done with the offensive line. They still want to know who is QB1. Who's QB1? And listen, we got something for that, right? And we're not even going to wait another day, right? But we are going to wait a little bit. We are going to wait a little minute, right? And we ain't going to answer this question right now, but we're going to answer this question today, right? So I need y'all to be locked in because we're going to answer this question today. Who is QB1, right? We're going to answer today, right? We're going to be locked in. So you listen, if you ain't locked in with us, you're going to be locked out, all right? Like Coach DG say, if you ain't locked in with us, you're going to be locked out, right? So you need to make sure that you locked in with us because we about that show is going to be the next show we do, 8:15. We're talking about who is QB1. We're going to break it all down, right? You know what I'm saying? But listen, that's the question that people got, right? That's the first question. The second question is, listen, if you didn't understand, and I asked Coach Jackson this, if you guys watched our show from the previous week, I asked Coach Jackson even this at the media day, right? And I'm gonna make sure I get that edited right, get that up so you guys can check that out, right? But listen, I asked him specifically. And now listen, this team isn't last year's team, that's for sure, right? But the reality is, last year's team struggled primarily because they couldn't run the ball consistently. They couldn't control the trenches. That's what it was, right? And so vital games, you talk about Texas Southern game, you talk about the Southern game, even talk about the UAPB game, right? When you look at the rushing statistics and you look at when you look at the amount of rushing yards per carry, in those games, you're averaging under 3 yards a carry. Well, listen, that's a problem. That's a problem. Hey, last time I checked, 3 times 3 is 9. So now it's 4th and 1. Like, what you doing? You feel me? You know what I'm saying? You're going for it, you're putting the ball. So that ain't putting you in a lot of situations to where you got short yardage, right, on third down. So the issue is, hey, can you improve your rushing yards per carry so that you don't run the ball 50 times and only have 119 rushing yards, right? Like, that's not putting you in any position to win games and to control the clock and to control the trenches. Like, you wasn't able to do that. That's the reality, right? Now, Coach Jackson believes that with what they brought in on offensive line, with what Coach Carson himself just is able to do and just coaching up that unit, that they have everything they need in the building, right? You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I saw the updated roster a little bit earlier today, right? It still needs some little tweaks, though. The question is, will the new look offensive line improve the Panthers' run game? That's the question, right? Can they improve the yards per carry average? Because listen, we got the pieces on the outside. The question is, can the offensive line control the trenches? Not only is that going to help whoever QB1 is, right, to have time. Now that's going to help when you talk about play action. That's going to help when you talk about RPO action, right? You got to be honest. The defense got to be honest, right? The defense got to bring somebody and keep 6, maybe bring a 7th into the box, which gives your playmakers outside the ability to be one-on-one, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, it puts you in a great position. So can this offensive line control the line of scrimmage? Can they help us to average more than 3 yards a carry in these primary contests, right? We got SWAC West, SWAC East opponents, right? And so you talk about Coach Buckner, right? This is going to be a pass-friendly offense, this air raid system. But Coach Jackson has made it adamant that it is going to be combined with a power run game. That's what you say all the time, right? It's an air raid system with a power run game, right? Is this going to be a new year when it comes to us being able to control the line of scrimmage? Now, we brought in a lot of guys, right? I mean, we have completely, I think, dramatically changed what that room looks like when you look at just the size of the offensive line, the height of the offensive lineman that's been brought in. You know, they're going after guys who have the prototypical size, right, of what you want to look for, right, in a high quality caliber offensive lineman, right? And so you talking about the average offensive lineman on this team being 6'5" and above, right? And so this is a completely different team. And listen, that's freshmen on up, right? But not only did you bring in freshmen, right, you know what I'm saying, who you can build up to what you want them to be, but you also brought in guys who can come in and step in, who have a lot of experience where they're coming from, who have a lot of times, a lot of snaps under their belt, right, either in JUCO or whether at other FCS programs, right, being a part of FBS programs. And so there's a couple guys that's coming in that's going to help to change the trajectory of this offensive line. We talk about, for example, a Jeremiah Mawali, right, who was a honorable mention All-American last year, right, went to James Madison initially when he transferred, right, but then got back in the portal. Now he's at Prairie, right? This is a guy who played tackle for you, who you know can come in and get the job done, right? Talking about a big 6'6" guy on one of the outside wings. You talk about a Dylan Spencer who played all snaps last year at the University of Central Arkansas, who was able to run the ball very well, right? And him being a key cog at center. When you talk about upgrading that position and going from, you know, centers in the past that have been around that 6'1", 6'2" mark, right, and bringing the guys who have a lot more weight, a lot more height on them. And again, centers sometimes can be a little bit shorter, right? But it's a guy who is experienced at this position too, right? Snaps wise. Talk about a Calvin McMillan that's coming in over from Memphis. Also with a Cameron Pascal who's coming from Memphis, as well as a CK Carter over from UTEP. And so there's been a lot of guys who've been added to the room, along with the four of the starting five from last year who also coming back on this roster, including a guy like Jaden Collard, who played a lot of snaps over these last 2 years, right? And so the experience in that room, period, has just literally elevated and increased from what you had last year to what you got this year. And so I believe that offensive line is really going to be able to get that job done because they're going to be able to move some people out the way, right? And we got the running backs, right? We got the running backs in the room. That running back room is dynamic, right? When you talk about a Lamar J. McDowell, second team all SWAC preseason, coming in 482 yards last year, 7 touchdowns, right? So he's a guy who can get the job done, big bruiser. Then you bring in a Brandon Campbell, who's basically a do-it-all running back. He can catch the ball out the backfield. He run between the tackles. He got the speed to take it outside and take it to the house. So Brandon Campbell is going to be a guy who I believe is probably going to be in a feature back situation because he can basically do everything that you want your running back to do. And so I can definitely see him clearly kind of taking that role and taking that position. But again, you can combine that with a guy who's 6'2", 225, 230 pounds on Lamar J. McDowell. That's a great mix. And then you got a guy like Chase Bingman, who I believe is going to be that third in that kind of wheel. Listen, we in fall camp, though. People got to hold their positions. Things can definitely move around. You got Elias Bynum there. You got Connor Wisham, who we know and seen what he's been able to do in the past. So you got other guys there who can definitely push to get more carries. But I think Chase Bingman just has something special. Last year, in just his limited touches, you saw how dynamic he was with the limited amount of touches he had. He doesn't need even that many touches to do something special. So I know he's going to get the ball in his hand as well. Again, a guy who you can use out of the backfield catching the ball as well. And so I know he's going to get a lot of touches, but I believe those three with Connor Wisham mixed in it a little bit, those are probably going to be the guys that you see a lot of. Definitely, again, Brandon Campbell, Elijah McDowell, and then following behind a Chase Bingman. And I think those three are very dynamic in their own right, in their own way. And now having a new look offensive line that is improved. to where, again, there's going to be competition in this room, even in fall camp. The ones have to fight to keep their position, fight to keep their roles. But when you talk about, again, starting in the middle, in the center with your second quarterback, we call it a Dylan Spencer, who has gone through, who has a storied career going through multiple programs, being able to learn the game right, to be able to help whoever QB1 is going to be, that we're going to talk about in a second. I think this offensive line is going to be able to get the job done, right? But that's a question that needs to be answered. That's a question that needs to be answered. And listen, Elvin, that's the reality of the situation. I don't think TSU has scored 50 points in 3 games in a row in a long time, let alone 1 game or 2 games, right? Let's just be clear. So, he just talking. Now, the next question is question that needs to be answered, right? Number 3. Can the 2-12 defense generate pressure and provide extra possessions for the offense? This will be huge. Now, Big Boy is saying here, the running back room will run the SWAC. I think they got the potential to. I really do. I really do. This is a great running back room. People not talking about this running back room. This really is a great running back room, for real. So, in a lot of the room in different positions, listen, there's a lot of competition. That's just the reality, right? If a guy takes his foot off the gas, your spot could be gone. Because all up and down the roster is guys that can get the job done. Saying Campbell definitely is his player to watch for this season. Yeah, obviously coming in, again, a guy with a lot of experience. Went to USC originally. Talking about Southern California, not South Carolina, right? Southern California to U of H 2 years where he really put in most of his work. UMass last year. So it's a guy who's been at multiple places, has produced at multiple places. He's going to be able to produce here too as well. And again, I think he adds to that room because you already got other guys in that room who can produce as well. And again, this room is not being talked about like that, but really is like that, right? And I mean, we talking about Texas Southern. I've heard more about Texas Southern running back room than Prairie View's running back room, but it's pretty clear that Prairie View has the more experienced running back room, right? That's the truth. So I don't even understand why PV's running back room isn't getting as much love as even a TSU. But listen, can the 2-12 defense generate pressure and provide extra possessions for the offense? So we're not just talking about putting pressure on offenses, getting off the field on third downs, right? Sacks, tackles for loss. We're also talking about turning people over. We're also talking about creating extra possessions, creating short fields for the offense. Can this defense do that? When you look at what Coach Brandon Anderson and what Coach Trent Early as co-DC, linebacker coach, were recognized for last year, they oversaw the most stingy defense in D2 football. And I already hear people already, it's D2, it's D2, it's D2. Listen, if you can coach, you can coach. I don't care. You can't talk about coaches who put in work and they didn't come from one program to another, and just move up. And it obviously was them. They built the programs. And in college football, it's about the coaches. That's primary. Primarily, when you talk naming programs, you're talking about coaches. That's the reality. You're talking about Alabama, you're talking about the coaches. You're talking about Nick Saban. You're talking about Bear Bryant. This is really what you're talking about. So, listen, this defense, they know how to run this defense. They know what they're looking for. How stingy can this defense be early on? Can year one they see production like they saw in Valdosta? Because if they see anything like what they saw in Valdosta, one, it completely changes the trajectory of what this offense can do and produce because they're going to have the ball. They're just going to have more chances to put the ball in the box. That's just the reality. So can this 2-12 defense create pressure? Who are the individuals that are going to rise to the occasion to be a part of, especially that front seven, right, that creates that pressure? And I think it starts off with a guy like Jamal Marshall, who was recognized and went to the SWAC Media Day. Guy who's built up through the program, right, had 2 great years the last 2 years, right? Numbers-wise, 2 years ago in his junior playing year, best statistical year. But last year, I think PFF rated him as as the highest as far as just overall being able to do his assignment, right? Be where he needs to be. And so I think he's ready to have just an outbreak from the inside defensive lineman position for this team and to kind of lead in that role. Then you also got a guy like Sterling Roberts coming over from Valdosta State. He's just a guy who's cerebral and understands the game, understands this defense, who can lead his unit, who can lead this team. Coming over, being able to help them understand what it looks like, what it should look like, because he's seen it and he's seen it done at a high level these last few years with Valdosta. And so I think those two guys are going to be the leaders of this defense. I think Sterling Roberts is tremendous in being here in the spring, in the summer, because he's been able to help guys to be able to see and know what it looks like. So that now in fall, they can really get running because you got basically a second coach on the field. And again, that's what you're looking for when you talk about high major teams that's really able to do things over and over again and really be able to elevate their program. You need coaches on the field. Sterling Roberts is that for your defense. And so having him there is going to be huge right off the coming out hits, his amazing year last year, to be able to provide that veteran leadership. But now we got to talk about who else can be guys at that defensive lineman position that can step up and help to create pressure. I think when you talk about a guy like Malik Gulake, right, coming over from San Diego State, he's someone that's high on my list to be able to get the job done. And he came from his JUCO before going into San Diego State. He was a guy that caused a lot of headaches for offensive linemen. And I think he can do that job here, right? Got Chris Harvey. You got a Premier Whitley, both coming up from JUCO, having a chance to now turn that JUCO experience into D1 production. So which one of these guys rises to the occasion and is able to be that guy from a D lineman position that can add pressure when you talk about, again, creating negative plays, tackles for loss, sacks, right, QB hurries, QB hits. All these things are important when you're talking about a defense that's trying to put pressure on the offense, and also to where they don't have to, even though I know, listen, they said they're going to be sending people from the top of the stadium. So we know they're going to be blitzing, okay? Teams just got to get ready for that. But if you can create pressure, man, with the least amount of guys, it is going to make things even a lot better for you. And so in fall camp now, who rises to the occasion out of these guys? Now, each one of these guys came after the spring season. So they've been there for the summer, but now fall camp, they really get a chance with the pass fully on to show, hey, coach, I'm that number one here on this side. Hey, maybe I'm that guy who comes in for a spell and is second in that rotation, but can still keep the pressure up as if there was no drop-off, right, in that two position. Wherever they find themselves, can you be a guy who's useful in that role? We're going to find out in fall camp, because we got to be able to bring pressure. And again, not only from the D-line position, but of course, when you talk about that linebacker core as well, we already know this defense, and we're going to talk about it a little bit more, right? We're going to have a discussion on the 212 defense. That is something we're going to spend some time on, right? That is something we're going to spend some time on, right? We're going to talk about this 212 defense, right? We got a special deep dive into that. So again, listen, you got to get your membership, right? If you ain't got your membership from the channel, you're going to miss a lot of these conversations. Also, that linebacker core, and they got a lot of guys to pull on. Now, this linebacker core is really interesting because you have a couple guys like a Sterling Roberts, like a Kennedy Parker, again, coming over from Valdosta State, Jeremiah Harris, who's been at Prairie the last few years, produced Javen Jackson as well. Got a Nigel Hill, who's a young guy who was there in that linebacker core, played a lot more on special teams. But then you got guys who are coming over who played elsewhere, like Daryl Starling coming from Troy, played some quality minutes there. You also got a guy like Nick Hames coming from Towson. And you got a couple guys who come from FBS programs who are younger guys who are looking for that shot, like a Matthew Moore from UNT. Or when you talk about a guy that's coming over from Tulane, like a Mandel Eugene. So there's a lot of guys who got the quality build. And I forgot also about DJ Griffith, of course, coming over from Indiana State as well. Brother to Griffith that plays in the NFL for the Denver Broncos. So you got pieces even in that linebacker core which guys are going to rise up to the occasion to come alongside Sterling Roberts and say, hey, man, I'm going to be that front line of defense as that Mike, that Will, that Sam, whichever role you're going to play, that they're going to come up and be able to do that, right? That's the question. So can this defense generate pressure and create extra possessions? That's the real question, right? So now we talk about that question. The next thing is, listen, very similar. And I see, Joe says it's about the players. But listen, when you're talking about these programs, the players that are in those programs are there because of the coaches. That's why they're there. See, that's why Nick Saban was successful in multiple places. When you talk about Urban Meyer wasn't just successful at one spot. He was successful at multiple stops, okay? Why? Because it's about the coaches. When you talk about HBCU football, you're talking about the coaches. Eddie Robb is connected to all them players you're talking about. Pete Richardson connected to them players you're talking about, right? Marino Chasm connected to them players you're talking about. That's the reality. It starts with the coach. That's where it starts at. That's the beginning. That's the front line. Just as right now, what we're seeing in this program is that Coach Jackson is the magnet. That's the reality. It starts with the coach. That's the reality. It starts with the coach, okay? You got to have players. What I'm not saying is that you ain't got to have players. Of course, the players got to execute. So you got to be able to get the players. But listen, the programs, when you're talking about and start naming these schools, you're talking about coaches. You're not talking about the schools without also talking about a certain coach. That's the reality. That's the truth. You're talking about a specific guy who was there, who was able to get that program to a certain level, to a certain cachet. Now, certain programs, because they've done it for so long, because they put certain resources in, they're able to bounce back a lot easier. And also, they're also able to get the best coaches. That's the reality. Like, they're able to get the best coaches. So that's how it goes. But anyway, are the secondary woes in the past? Listen, there's questions that need answers, right? Question number 4 that needs an answer. Are the secondary woes in the past? One of the most glaring issues in 2024 was the inconsistent and undisciplined play of the whole secondary unit. That's just the reality. As a collective, the unit just, penalties at the wrong times, right? Giving up extra yardage, you know what I'm saying? Changing field position, penalized just too much, right? In the secondary. But not only that, right? Giving up big plays, period. Just giving up big plays throughout the year. And so the secondary needed improvement, right? And I think this is one of the things that for myself, I think for other fans that's watching, was the most disappointing, because when you talk about a guy like Bubba McDowell and what he was able to do in Miami and in the NFL, right? You look at him as like, man, you're a secondary guy, right? That's your baby. Now, again, it's not shooting shots at Coach Bubba, right? We appreciate Coach Bubba. But it's just the reality, right? That's what you think about, because it's like, man, Coach Bubba, that's your baby. That's your thing, right? That's your thing. It's just like if you got an offensive head coach and y'all can't score points, you're going to say, that's your baby, though. You're an offensive guy. So for the defense to have the lapses and not just front four or the second line of defense, but you're talking about the secondary, talking about cornerbacks and safeties. I mean, you're just disappointed, right? And so this unit, I think, out of all the units, now I must admit, I'm very hyped right now. I'm very excited because I know we're coming off that hill. I really do. I really understand how much. We coming off that hill. We're coming off the hill. That's why I played the song I played earlier. I couldn't even play Swang. I had to play Coming Off the Hill on my mind because it's what's on my mind right now. Okay. So now, when you talk about the secondary unit, I think it's the most improved unit on the entire team. I mean, The amount of experience that has been infused into this unit is second to none. Now, I would tell you, this is the wide receiver unit. Coach Jay must have really been hearing us talk about Coach DG's unit, because they done went out there and kept recruiting to try to really make that wide receiver unit give the DB unit a run for their money. That's why I was asking the question, can you be DBU and wide receiver U in the same year? Because I'm feeling like we got the ability to do that. But with that being said, when you look at the talent that they brought in, right? First and foremost, I think you got to understand, and we talked about this before, Coach DG got 10 championships. Do y'all understand how heavy that is? Your defensive backs coach, we're not just talking about your head coach that's a championship caliber coach, not just talking about your OC that's won multiple championships, conference championships. We're not just talking about your DCs, co-DCs, both winning multiple championships. You're also even talking about your DB coach that has won 10 champions. Listen, Robert Ory Jr. out here. Like, we got Robert Ory Jr. out here for the defensive backs coach. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, y'all don't understand it. We got Robert Ory Jr. coaching the DBs. Man got 10 championships. I'm trying to say, he obviously know what he's doing. Because at some point, you got to understand that them high caliber units that he bring into schools is helping them to do what they do. It's helping them to win games. It's helping them to get chips. The man know what he's talking about. The man know what he's doing. Okay? Just letting y'all know, Robert Ory Jr. is coaching the DBs. The man got 10 championships. I don't know what – I heard people talking at media day about fingers and rings. The man ain't got no fingers left. I'm trying to say. That's all I'm trying to say. Man ain't got no fingers left. So when you start with there, you start with the coach, like I already said earlier. I forgot who was talking about. You start with the coach. Let's start there, right? Because listen, what I'm learning more and more in this college game, it's about coaching. It's about coaching, okay? So you start there with the coach. Then you keep going and realize they've also brought in top-tier transfers like a Trevor Randall, who not only had an 89% coverage grade coming out of ULM last 2 years, over 100 tackles. I mean, let's just keep going, right? This is a guy who's also on the FCS watch list for the NFL Combine, right? He's on the NFL Combine watch list. So that lets you know the caliber of guys. And you even talk about a Peyton Talley that was also brought in as a transfer. Now, you talked about spring team, summer team, the team, right? Peyton Talley didn't make it to the team. Now, I don't mean he ain't going to go nowhere and do well, but he ain't make this team, right? He ain't make the team here, okay? But you see the caliber recruits. When you had two guys in your program that was on the FCS NFL National Combine watch list. And one of those guys still there in the Trevor Randall, right? At safety. So listen, you bring in a guy like that, but not only there, you also add to that by also bringing a guy like Malachi Williams. Played at Northern Arizona, West Georgia, FCS ball, right? Also himself put up impressive numbers over the last 2 years as a starting safety. I mean, not only bring that starting safety, but then you bring another starting safety in a guy like Cornelius Davis from Campbell, put in work, put up numbers himself in his own right. Then not only there, you go get a guy like Denarius Hollywood, who won two D3 national titles last year in D2 at Emporia State, brought in 3 interceptions, great coverage grade, and now you bring him in to add him to that DB room. And again, there's more guys, right? Joseph Akala, we got Ashton has come over from Rice. I mean, we just got a lot of guys in that room. You know, Williamson. I mean, it's just there's a lot of guys and a lot of experienced guys. These are not guys who ain't playing in their current place. Like, they was on the field. William White, right, was at Northwestern State. You should remember him. Guy made a great play on us against us when we played Northwestern last year, right? He's on in your secondary now. 6'3" guy, right? Coming down with that hat. If you remember the spring game, he the guy that brought that hat in the spring game on that swing route. So now you talk about that, and then you combine that with us keeping quality guys who are in the room, like an Eric Zachary, who it was acknowledged he should have been starting last year even as a true freshman, because he's really like that, okay? Cameron Amayo, right, who only is continuing to get better and better and better. Started at UTPB, came in last year, right? Should have got more snaps because he was quality when he was on the field, and we've been saying that. Zachary and Amayo really were two best corners, okay? And then you also got Cam Franklin coming back in that safety position too as well with Cameron Franklin, right? So you got a room that's really deep. And like I say, I think this unit has the potential to be the best defensive back secondary in the entire SWAC. And I'm not just saying that. Like, I'm really not just saying that. I'm saying that for specific reasons. You got Robert Ory coaching the DBs. Man got 10 championships. He obviously know what he do. And he not just got 10 championships, y'all. What I'm trying to say is he's created secondary units that have been top-tier secondary units at East Texas A&M, at Incarnate Word, at Valdosta State. Like, he's done this over and over and over and over again. At some point, you got to just believe you know what he's doing. But not only can he coach that, they also brought in a talent that can get it done, right? And again, we ain't even talking about like a Tayshaun Wilson that came over from Baylor, right? Didn't see a lot of snaps there, but got the potential, got the speed at corner. So there's a lot of guys who are here, and this fall camp, the battle is going to be, it's going to be raging because guys are going to be fighting to get on the field, even to get on the bus, to get on the travel bus. You feel me? That's the reality of the situation. That's the reality of the situation. So now, last question is, can special teams be special? Can special teams be special, right? Now, last year, we had if not the best, one of the best place kickers, not only in the SWAC, but in the entire FCS. We all know. Gigi, right? Guillermo Garcia, right? Plenty of leg. You know, it's kind of like he had leg to a fault because I even believe that some of the ways we kind of call plays offensively, I felt like was just kind of being conservative because you knew you got a kicker that can kick it 40 plus, 50 plus. So instead of trying to, push the buck, right, and get into the box, right, we kind of settled. And you can kind of get comfortable, right? And so again, but that's a good weapon to have, right? And not only that, obviously Ethan Jasso as well. He's now over at Kansas, right, in the Big 12. So we had kicker, punter quality, right? Can we replace those with an Adam Atwell, with an Aiden Webb, right? Coming over from UTEP, for example, right? Can we replace those guys in that secondary unit? When you talk about place kicker, punter, still be able to give us quality at kicker, right? Still have a high percentage of field goals, still be able to hit from distance, still be able to make extra points, right, and not lose free points after we score touchdowns. And also, listen, Adam Atwell, super important, right, when you talk about having a defensive unit that really wants to bring pressure and get things done. Can he be able to be a guy who can pin teams deep, who can keep the ball in between the 0 and the 20 instead of, putting the ball in the end zone, right, and having them bring it out, right? So, these is going to be really, really important question that Coach Hadley is going to have to answer. And also, in terms of the return game, I just think there's tremendous opportunities with the guys that you brought in because there's so much flexibility and so many guys that have speed on this team. And there's guys even on the defensive side that could even be plugged in that I ain't even mentioned, right? But obviously, I think it starts with a guy like Jacoby Banks, who has done that and played that role at a Memphis, right? Been a special teams guy at U of H before that. And we saw what he has the ability to do. I think he's definitely the head of that snake as far as being special as a punt returner or as a kick returner, because we have not been able to do much damage from the return game in the last few years. And it makes it harder. It makes it harder for the offense when the defense can't take the ball away. It makes it harder for the offense when we can't get good field position or turn a field. But now I think we got not just a guy at the top, but I think we got multiple guys who could play that role. I think Jacoby Banks is probably at the top of playing that role. But then you got a guy like Korea Powell, right, who's coming over, right, from JUCO, who has an opportunity, right, to be, a slot guy in the receiver core, and also has a chance to be a return guy, whether that is a punt returner or, again, as a kick returner. You got two guys back there. I believe Jacoby Banks is probably going to be a punt returner, but may not be a kick returner, right? Because you got other guys you can put back there with some of the talent we brought in. Again, Korea Powell. You got a Trey Davis, who did a lot of punt and kick returning in high school. Went over to Kansas State for a year. Now it's transferring back. A big recruit out of high school coming from Troop, Texas. Now it's back home. He has an opportunity, right, just because he's so dynamic. I didn't even mention really the freshman, Kayvondrick Taylor, who really was everything as a return specialist and as a senior last year in high school from Lufkin. Listen, he got a chance. I mean, that's another guy that's very dynamic. I didn't even put him on the list. Then you got a Connor Wisham. We've seen what his speed can do. He's also returned kickoffs before. And, of course, you got Chase Bingman. He's been a return specialist, especially in high school at Terrell, right? So he can also be used in those positions. So really, you got a lot of guys that have an opportunity. I think spring game wise, right? At that time, right, you saw Chase Bingman, you saw Jacoby Banks, right, of course, being used, kind of in those roles. But now again, right, you talk about spring team, summer team, fall team. Well, between the spring team and now the team, there's a lot of the guys that have been brought in that can also do that very well. So who can you find that can step up that doesn't show that they just can do it in practice, right, but actually is able to do that in the real game? That's the question, right? So these are some questions. Hey, listen, that's what I'm saying. We got to find a guy. We got to find a guy who can be consistent in punt return, be consistent in kickoff return. Because I said it last year, I'm like, man, we wasn't special in those positions, and we needed to be special in order to turn fields. Man, you got to have somebody special, right? Who can see it before it's there. So, listen, those are questions that I got, man. And again, the first question is who's QB1. Okay, listen, I already know. I know what the first question is. Who is QB1? And listen, we're about to answer that question. Got a few minutes left here, right? We're gonna answer that question right now, right? So listen, if you have not yet, again, who is QB1? We're really about to break it down. We're gonna talk about it now. This is unfortunately, this is a members only discussion. Okay, it's a members only discussion. We'll possibly release it to everybody a little bit later, but right now, hey, listen, it's a members only discussion. So if you don't got your membership, listen, it's only $3 a month. You know what I'm saying? Hey, listen, absolutely, question that needs to be answered. Number one, you know what I'm saying? Number one, you know what I mean? So listen, this is the question that needs to be answered. Now, again, if you want to hear the answer to the question, because we're gonna talk about the answer to the question. Listen, this goes to support the channel. It's only $2.99 a month, right? To be an insider, we got Insider Plus. Also, Insider Pro as well. You get more with that, right? We're going to be doing a deep dive with Brandon Campbell and Trevon Jones as well as breaking down the 212 defense and also the air raid offense. So listen, we're going to be doing a lot with this with that membership, right? You're going to get a lot, right? But tonight with that membership, we talking about who was QB1, right? So if you're interested in that, you can go ahead and hit that join button, man. So you can be a part of that conversation. He said for $1.99, I tell y'all. So we'll see who's part of that conversation. But with that said, man, listen, I want to hear from you guys. What are the questions that you think need to be answered in fall camp? Is there any other question that you say, man, hey, listen, I think this needs to be answered in fall camp? We got a few minutes. Y'all drop it in the chat right now. What are other questions that you look at this team and say, man, yeah, I agree. Special teams, we got to have a return specialist. Can special teams be special? We definitely got to be able to create pressure. We definitely got to be able to, get to the quarterback. We got to be able to do it with that front seven and without having to send extra pressure all the time to do it. So that's another thing that we got to be able to do. We definitely need to figure out if this offensive line can help us to average more than 3 yards a run in these highly contested games. Listen, if we average more than 3 yards a run in the game against Southern in the second half, we're winning that game. The game, we don't lose that game. But they completely shut us down on the ground in the second half. We can't move the ball consistently. We can't keep the ball. We can't keep possession. We can't control the clock. And listen, we lose in overtime. If we're going to win games, it starts with the offensive line in the trenches and the defensive line in the trenches. And so does that offensive line able to control the line of scrimmage? But do you have any questions that you see, that you look and you see, hey, I think this is a primary question that needs to be answered by this team? Again, we talked about it already. Who is QB1? We're about to answer that. Will the new look offensive line improve the Panthers' run game? We talked about that, right? Can the 212 defense generate pressure and provide extra possessions, right? That's key. Not just provide pressure, but also get some extra possessions. We're at the bottom of the SWAT when you talk about turnovers. That got to change. Are the secondary woes in the past? Listen, this is key. And I think that question is kind of self-evident. Just by the talent influx that's in the room, just by the coaching staff, I think that question kind of answers itself. And then, can special teams be special? Any other questions you guys got? I see Tony went in and grabbed his membership. Appreciate you for joining, man. Getting your membership. We about to really talk now. And again, we got some, like I said, we got some other special things coming for the members as well. So not just for this conversation, but we got multiple other conversations that we got specific for the members as well too. So Isaiah says, "Welcome to the club." All right. So I mean, if y'all ain't got no other questions, man, I guess I did a good job. I guess I asked all the questions that needed answers. I guess I asked all the right ones, because I ain't got no more questions for me. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got no more questions for me. Yeah, we talking that football talk. It's fall camp now, right? Ain't no more prognostications. Ain't no more talking out no side or nothing. It's like it's football talk now. It's either you get it done or you don't get it done. It's either you answer the question or you don't answer the questions. That's the real deal Holyfield. Okay? That's the real deal Holyfield. You know what I'm saying? Said we gave y'all the lead and staying ahead of down with a 1 y'all again. Listen, it's the reality of the situation. Listen, our offensive line versus Southern defensive line last year, they won the second half. They won the game. That's the answer. That's the answer. Texas Southern, we couldn't run the ball. That's the reality. They were able to be consistent on the ground, right? And what happened? They leaned on us. In the fourth quarter, they broke some open. Listen, it's regular football. Like, what we talking about? It's regular football. Do these new pieces on the offensive line change the trajectory for the Panthers? Because we got playmakers, right, on the outside. We got the backfield. I mean, this ain't no different. This really ain't no different question than Southern question right now. They got a Trey Holly they done added. Now from Louisiana, I know what Trey Holly's like, right? Listen, Union Parish, that's around my neck of the woods. I understand, right? But it don't matter if the offensive line can't even give him a little bit of room to work with. You got to understand, Lamar J. McDowell, 482 yards last year, right? You got to understand, 347 of his yards came after contact. That's too many. That's too much. Like, that's way too much. That's way too much. That's a huge percentage of his yardage, right? So they let you know he was battling. And most of y'all know, when y'all watch the games back, y'all can see he was getting met in the hole every single time, or in the backfield at worst, right? So we got to answer that question, right? You know what I'm saying? Elvin says, who will be the playmaker on the outside? Hey, listen, I think that's a great question. That's a great question, right? I think that one has, again, that wide receiver room is super deep. You know what I'm saying? That wide receiver room is super deep, right? And again, I'm not just talking, right? Y'all know me when I just be talking. I'm really not just talking. So when you talk about, if I'm going to give you the guy that I think is the number one, I think that's Andre Dennis. I think he's built for it. I think that's what you saw him becoming at Lamar. He's put in work multiple times before. The 2 years before 2022, 2023, of course, got injured in 24. He is primed to be that guy. He's a 6'1" guy, right? So not a super small guy, not a super tall guy either, right? But I think he's right there in the middle as far as body type and size, has the speed, can work inside, outside. You can put him in multiple positions. Andre Dennis, I think, is going to kind of emerge as I feel like your number one, right? You know what I'm saying? And then, again, you got multiple guys you can use on the outside, right? Multiple speedsters. First of all, who going to see the field? That's the question. That's really the question. Who going to get on the field? Because, I mean, we running with Cam Bunner, we running Trey Davis, right? You know what I'm saying? You going to go with Josiah Rockwell? Man, we just got picked up a Tristan Golightly. Like, which one you want to rock with? We also got a tight end that we can flex out just as a wide receiver in a 6'6" Trevon Jones. Like, what do you want to do? Pick your poison? Where do you want to go, right? I ain't named Jeremiah Ratliff. I ain't named Kareem Powell. I ain't named Jacoby Banks. I didn't name Chaney Fitzgerald, he's gonna be on the field a whole lot because he's just a security blanket, period. Just a quality guy that can get catches and keep everything rolling, right? So the reality is you got multiple guys who can be that guy and on multiple days. And listen, with the air raid system, what we're going to see and find out, man, listen, this system can create multiple 1,000-yard receivers, right? You know what I'm saying? So it's not even just like it got to be just one guy, right? But again, I think if I had to put my finger on any one of the guys, I think Andre Dennis is that guy, right? I think he takes that role as that number one, and then other guys fit in around there. That's how I feel. You know, other guys may feel different. Said, will the NCAA give Texas Southern a statistical win after a dominant victory? Unfortunately, many would confuse PVAMU as an NAIA school before halftime. That's hilarious. Listen, we started this conference. You're here because of us, okay? You're here because of us. As a matter of fact, the majority of the players that you have ever had in your school history have been created because we created the PVIL, okay? Like, this is the reality of the situation. Like, respect your elders. Respect your elders and respect who has been a primary part of creating you. Your opportunities were because we created them. We went before you so you could be, okay? We went before you to lay the groundwork so you can even have a program, okay? That's just the reality situation. All right, so I think that's all the questions we got. I'm about to jump out. Said deep people want to know who QB1 is for the Panthers, and they can know. They can know. But listen, we got to give our members something special. So we're gonna start with the members. Now you can wait. You know, we can drop it in a couple weeks. You can catch it in a couple weeks. But right now, we're gonna just have members only talk. Okay. So again, you can find out who QB1 is. Listen, you just got to go and support the channel, man. Get your membership, $2.99 for becoming insider, $4.99 insider plus, insider pro at $9.99. Again, each one of those have their own special. You know, going with them, so they got to support those who support us. PB fam. Crook says exactly what happened. Literally. Listen, me and Crook agreeing. Listen, we must be saying something we both can't say nothing wrong, okay? Because that's exactly what happened, okay? That's exactly what happened. And that was with limited carries. Say couldn't hit drag routes before Woods got the call. Yeah, for Southern, for sure, you know, and they got it interesting. It's gonna be interesting to see what they do. But you know, really, Mark Fredericks, y'all know Mark Fredericks loves him a running quarterback. So now he got multiple to choose from. So he feel like he's gonna be good. Okay, so inside zone left, inside zone right, pull it, run it. Okay, like he's in heaven right now. Okay, quarterback wise, because you know that's what he want to do. But with that said, man, listen, we're about to jump off for a few minutes. But again, y'all catch us back on, and we gonna get this one started. So again, if you want to be a part of that, y'all know what to do. You can hit the join button. Again, it's $2.99 for the month. You get more with it, like I say, right? Not just for this conversation. We're gonna be deep diving into Brandon Campbell, Trayvon Jones. Those who've been a part of some of our other deep dives have seen what we've done before, right? And so they can tell y'all what it looks like. Also, we're going to be talking about the 212 defense, going to be breaking that down so all of us have a better understanding of what that's going to look like, how we're going to generate that pressure with, you know what I'm saying, with that front seven, you know what I'm saying, with that jet safety. So we're going to be talking about that as well. We also going to be talking about that air raid system as well, right? You know what I'm saying? So the air raid system, we're going to be talking about that and breaking that down because, again, man, listen, it's something special coming, right? Because it's an air raid system with a power run game. You know what I'm saying? Shouts out to Zarak Peters, you know what I'm saying, for the love. I appreciate the love for $20, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So appreciate that as well. Said it feels like a kid in the candy store right now. All right, man. But with that just said, we're gonna jump off for about 5 minutes. You know what I mean? I'm gonna grab some water and we're gonna get started. Let's get it.